There used to be a rumor that you could see one of the actors that played a Munchkin hanging in the background of The Wizard of Oz. But today we're not talking about hanging from trees. We're talking about hanging with the boys. The Wizard of Oz was a movie that I actually watched a lot as a kid. Not so much by choice, but my grandma had it. And so every time I would go over to their house, I would want to watch a movie because I'd be bored, and it would be like 100 movies that I'd never heard of and The Wizard of Oz. So I would watch The Wizard of Oz like every time I went there. If you haven't seen it, you might want to watch it. It's a classic. But I'll just tell you, whatever you're expecting, it's not going to be that. So it's kind of well known at this point that the shooting of The Wizard of Oz was kind of production hell. Really everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. To be fair, it was the 30s. Part of me thinks that was just how it went back then. They just went for it back in the 30s. They just let it rip, you know. Safety, don't need it. There's a depression and a world war. If we kill a few actors, they're probably better off. Just to name a few things that went wrong. So the Wicked Witch, there was a lot of smoke effects and fire effects around her. At one point her outfit caught on fire, which of course it did. Her makeup, the green makeup, had copper in it, and they had to reapply it just over and over again all day, and the copper weirdly caused a reaction in her skin. The Tin Man was actually recast, which is a big loss because the original Tin Man was a hunk. You know, the Tin Man in the movie needed oil, and let me tell you, I'd oil that guy up all day long. The first actor, they used makeup with aluminum dust in it, and weirdly he inhaled that and he just almost died apparently. One day he couldn't breathe and they rushed him to a hospital and they just recast him. Didn't even tell the new guy why. So like, what happened to the last guy? Oh, that guy? Don't worry about that guy. That guy was a dick. You know, he was always grasping for more money. So anyway, this is metal we're going to put on your skin. And then after all that, the new Tin Man, they switch it to a aluminum paste. Much safer. It still has metal in it. But, you know, I'm not a makeup expert. So maybe that's okay. But then again, maybe I am a makeup expert, because lo and behold, the aluminum paste got in his eye and his eye got infected. The Scarecrow wore this mask that was made to look like a burlap sack. So it had lines through it. And apparently the lines were like so in his face that it took over a year for them to go away. Like after the movie, Ray Bolger just walked around with like lines in his face all the time. Which is just so fucking stupid. There were a lot of large, heavy suits that people had to wear, specifically the Lion, but lots of other people included. And these suits were super hot. And the set was also very hot because they needed so many lights, and it was so big and grand. But due to all the lights and the hot suits, a lot of those actors got heat stroke or almost got heat stroke. A bunch of the monkeys that had to fly around, they were on wires, I guess. A bunch of them got injured. Toto got stepped on. The dog. A dog got stepped on. And then in the scene where snow is trickling down around everyone, it's so magical, so fun and happy. The snow was asbestos. Just straight up, clean, pure asbestos. Which is, powder in the air is the worst way to have asbestos. It's basically weaponized at that point. But I don't want to talk about any of that today. Forget about it. Don't worry about it like it didn't even happen. We're not talking about it. Because even after all that, the thing that interested me the most about The Wizard of Oz was that the actors that played the Munchkins apparently were drunks and sex-mad hellraisers. So, that's what we're talking about. Of course we are. Now you're thinking, oh, well, naturally, all that other stuff is, I don't care about, I forgot what you even said. It's so unimportant now that I know the real story. So if you've seen The Wizard of Oz, you know there are a lot of little people in that movie. The Munchkins. There were over 100 little people actors hired for mostly background, but a few of them, quite a few, did have big lines, big parts. So all of these little people actors were all housed in one hotel in Culver City. One quote that I saw to kind of set the stage, the actor Bert Lahr, who played the lion, he said that the Munchkins made their money by, quote, panhandling, pimping, and whoring. If that doesn't get your attention, I don't know what will. You might just want to leave YouTube because nothing on here is going to be that intriguing. We're also quoted as an unholy assembly of pimps, hookers, and gamblers. One of the producers at the end after filming was quoted as saying, "They had sex orgies in the hotel, and we had to have police on just about every floor." Okay. There's even one story to say that one of the little people was drunk on set all the time, and one day he was so drunk that he fell into the toilet and couldn't get out. Which is like, we've all been there, but not on the job. They were drunks, Judy Garland said. One of them asked her on a date, and she said no because her mother wouldn't like it, which is fair because she was 16 at the time, I believe. And apparently the man, the little person, replied, come on, bring your ma too. Which is pretty sick, actually. These guys seem badass, though. They must have been on set, just like, Dorothy, you have to follow the yellow brick road. Cut. Alright, get the fuck out of my face, Garland. Hey, what's up, Veronica? Coming back to the hotel tonight? Bet you are. Garland, fuck off. Yeah, go on. So, what have we learned so far? Alcohol, drugs, and orgies on what seems like a daily basis. So, these guys clearly like to have a good time. And I also read somewhere that some of them came from Europe to escape the Nazis for this movie. So it sounds like a lot of them actually deserved a good time. All of this should be taken with a grain of salt. It's no secret that little people did not get really any respect back then. And I've seen multiple places say that they were paid $50 a week, while the dog playing Toto was paid $125. So it's very obvious that nobody gave a shit about these guys. And so I think a lot of this is probably at least a little bit sensationalized. Going back to that quote earlier of when the guy asked Judy Garland out and said her mom can come too, I'm also seeing this quoted a different way. So that leads me to believe that that is one of the things that's kind of made up, unless it happened twice. And a few of them went on to become successful, respected people in Hollywood. And Jerry Marin, who passed away in 2018 at age 98, he also went on to appear in more than 60 films and television series. He worked as a stunt double for many child actors such as Jodie Foster and Ron Howard. He's also the founder of the Little People of America charity group, and he wrote off a lot of this as not true. He says most of the stories are false or over-exaggerated, but he did admit that there were a few people on the set that were drunk and also very flirtatious. The articles are kind of endless about the craziness that went on at this hotel. Even if the extent wasn't quite that large, something had to have been going on at that hotel, because this is just crazy shit to make up. So I do tend to believe that the real story falls somewhere in between. There were some recounts that Judy Garland was actually groped on set by one of these actors, but this claim seems pretty unsubstantiated, and I find it hard to believe that that would have gone under the radar, but I still thought I should make a note of it. Either way, overall, I still think this is a group of good people. Many of them have actually gone on to do great things, and now the group of them as a whole have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, so that's pretty cool. Overall, I think that this was just a group of people that love to have a good time. Hearing these stories about the crazy stuff they did and thinking about how they were playing these childlike and whimsical characters just hours before is very wild. I mean, the juxtaposition alone is just fantastic. So I thought it'd be fun to talk about it. If anyone has any other crazy stories from Hollywood, let me know, because talking about the shit is very fun. That being said, thanks for watching. If you do choose to go to a hotel and have an orgy, make sure to bring your drugs and alcohol first, because they won't let you in if you don't. Bye.